going to get ready to begin. And so I invite you to come into a standing position and stand so that your feet are about the width of your hips. And we do the spin. It's one of my favorite ways to get us started. And the reason for that is because we collect a lot of tension in our body throughout the day, through various just generalized postures that we go through. And so when we begin the spin, it rotates our spine, it moves our arms, and it moves all the way down into our legs. And so it's about as full body as we can get of a very simple motion. And it will likely make you feel a little bit looser, a little bit more ready for action once you've done a few. But it will also alert you if there's something going on. You will know what it is, and you can then plan and avoid it. Now, let's lift the arms up and just toss those arms down. So we go from the top to the bottom. And this is also something that we naturally do in frustration. Just throw something down. There's something about that movement, that downward sudden stop as our arms come down that is actually reducing some of our psychological stress and tension as well as physical stress and tension. And that's good. And now we're going to soften those knees. So we don't want the knees to lock. We'll come back to our heels, and I invite you to lose your balance. And sometimes it's hard to do. You know, we desire not to lose our balance. So go toward the toes and go into a crouch, and then go back to your heels and try and go to a crouch, which is rather difficult. And it's okay. You know, I work with people and they say, hey, I should be getting better at this. I'm losing my balance. I'll say, well, you're doing it right. If you're losing your balance and you're provoking yourself, you're pushing yourself to the point where balance is lost, and that's exactly what I want you to do, especially with 1 foot forward, because that's what we're doing. We're walking along. We can't take this next step. And then for real life, we would lose our balance. And how do we recover? Well, if we're activating, if we're plotting and planning right now, then the recovery is a little bit easier. Let's put the other foot forward and have the knees bend as we crouch down, and then go back into our heels. So back and forth we go with our actions, and we feel a loss of balance. That's good. That's good. Whoop, lose of balance, and then we recover. We try not to lock. But balance is built out of many things, and we will be doing something today that will challenge balance. But right now, we're going to challenge the balance of our arch, of our ankle, which is pretty much not really a great arch for most of us. Let's have weight come to the inner edge, lifting up the outer edge, and you're going to feel the action. And that's hard to do. When we go to the outer edge, lift up the inner edge, that's a lot easier to do. And we go back and forth like that. We tend to flatten the interior of the arch, the space that's closer to the big toe. Although some people have an extremely high arch, and this is great for all the conditions because it's just shifting and stressing the bones just right. And then we bring the weight to the front of the foot, the ball of the foot, and we make it even from big to little toe. We push our heels away from each other, and this engages us all the way up into the hips. So the area that we're working is affected by areas high above it. Lift the toes, pull the fingers back, and then grip down those toes. Feel that in the bottom of the foot. Grip your fingers to the top. Feel your knuckles bend more. But remember, we're not trying to push to the point of discomfort. Stretch is fine, though. Feeling that something's tight is exactly what we want to do. And maybe something gets tired, and that's good too, because in order to make a muscle strong, we've got to make a muscle tired. So back and forth we go with this cross-training, and we'll change the cross-training. We'll spread our fingers and our toes wide, and it's really difficult to get toes to give you any land between the toe. But as you work with it, even though they're probably going to still almost lift always at first, you'll find that there is movement outward, that you're starting to see the mat between your toes, and that's exciting. Now move big toes towards each other. Heels stay pushed outward. Hard to do. The body wants to let go of that extra activity. Push down the big toe, heels push out, let your small toes lift up and come down. And then the small toes are staying down, the big toe lifting up and coming down. And then biggest toe down, littlest toe down, the 3 center toes lifting up and coming down. And all of that is just training the feet to become good arch feet. So we stand, weight across the ball of the foot, heels pressing out with hips back. We're lengthening the spine by lifting the rib cage up away from the pelvis. We're adjusting those shoulders a little back and a little down because they're usually forward and up. We're lifting through the top of the head, reminding ourselves to keep long in the spine. And when we breathe into our belly, expand like a balloon, lift the arms up. And when we exhale, we push the arms out and down. So we're going to do that again. We're going to Breathe in and lift up the arms. And breathe out. Now try and make it feel like there's a little bit of a stretch going on. So you don't want to just limit it and it feels like nothing's happening. You want to take it. You don't want it to be extreme, but you want to feel, and the stretch is not just the shoulders, it's the neck, the upper back, the lower back as well. And we're going to go to the side. We're going to reach and inhale and lift up. And we're going to exhale, coming across and coming down. And then we do that again. We breathe in and we breathe out. Now we're going to go the other way. And of course, it feels different. And we'll alert ourselves to all sorts of things going on in our body, as well as loosen them up and make them better just with these simple movements. That's great. But now we're going to try for some length. So we're going to lift up the center. We're going to lift our rib cage. We're going to add the stretch of the arm, which pulls through all the way to the pelvis. Inhaling. Exhale, we'll let that go. We'll lift up our center. We'll bring our side up. We'll stretch our arm all the way up. We inhale, and then we exhale. We let that release. Again, the center lift, the side lifting, the arm stretching. Deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. And then lift up the center, the side, stretch the arm, and inhale. Exhale, take the hands now. Interlock the fingers. Stretch your palms out. Bring the chest and the arms up. And while you're lifting up, begin a spiral that stretches you even higher. Take a deep breath. And then exhale, come out of your spiral and uplift. And then spiral all the way up and inhale. And then exhale, come out of that spiral and uplift. Now, while you're lifting, stretch up more and let your back arch. But don't jam it. Keep lengthening rib cage away from pelvis. Inhale and then exhale, throw those arms down. Release that tension. We're going to bring up our chest and squeeze back the shoulders and reach those arms back. Exhale. We're going to take the arms forward, broad between the shoulder blades. Take a deep inhale. And so we reach and we squeeze back and we exhale. And we go forward, inhale. And again, that reach, that squeeze back, that exhale. And then we let the arms release apart. And we're going to spin again. We're going to begin to move those arms. And we'll probably notice a little bit of change in the way we were feeling from the beginning of the class, things loosening up, or maybe we're becoming more aware, highlighting some areas. But now we want to uplift. Now, make it so your pelvis stays still. You're going to turn the shoulders. And by uplifting and being specific with our actions, we get the deeper part of our muscles to engage, space that's closer into the interior of the body. And it didn't have to move before, so it didn't. So the body's always going to restrict. It's not going to make any more effort than we insist it makes. Now uplift and turn your pelvis. Try not to move your rib cage. You know, at first our movements will be very slight, and some movements for some people are always going to be slight, and that's okay. We're just trying to move our full comfortable distance. And this is great. Now, we're going to have those feet wider on the mat. We're going to press our feet and knees out. We're going to feel the outer hips engage, and that's going to keep our pelvis in the center. Lifting through the chest, we lower those shoulders, and we tilt to the side, keeping the pelvis at center. We're going to lift our rib cage, and our arm is going to stretch, pulling upward. Inhale, and then exhale. Let's bring ourselves up and out, and we press out again. Pull in the belly, chest up, and shoulders down. We make that tilt. We lift the rib cage and the arm. We stretch up. We inhale. And then we exhale and we pull ourselves completely up and out. Now let's go to a wide stance. Widening out and bending the knees a little bit. So we create this crease line right here where we're going to put the heel of our palm. We lift up the chest and bend forward. And on one side of us, we're straightening the arm by pushing the heel of the palm firmly into that leg. And the straighter the arm, the longer the spine. Take a deep breath. Exhale, the elbow bends, and then the other side. We begin to push. It's okay if the arm doesn't go completely straight. Any straightness at all is good. Take a deep breath. Exhale, the elbow bends, and now both sides. We're pressing. We're tractioning the spine, decompressing it. Let's take a deep inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows, bend the knees, bring the hands all the way down, and shift your weight to one side so the other leg goes straight, and it's an inner thigh stretch. Keep it comfortable and breathe deeply. And we're going to go across. And straighten, and the inner thigh stretches. We breathe deep. Coming to center. First side again. Stretch and breathe. And across. And stretch and breathe. Now coming to center, we are going to lift the hips We'll bend the knees a bit to adjust the back of the leg. We let the arms and the head hang. That's another decompression of our spine. We start to sway the head and the shoulders side to side, loosening up in different places. Now place one hand down at center. The other shoulder we're going to pull up toward the back to twist. Press out into your feet to stabilize. Pull your chest away from the hips to lengthen. Breathe in nice and deep. And on the exhale, we put the other hand down, the other shoulder, lifting up and toward the back, pressing out the feet, lengthen and breathe. Exhaling, and we come to center. Now, bend the knees, put your hands up on those knees, lift the chest, get the arms straight, and then take the shoulder and just reach gently across yourself. Now, that's going to open up to a lot of different areas and stretch. Just notice what you feel and where you feel it and breathe. And then we'll come across, and we're being gentle enough with our actions that the stretch we feel is pleasant. Breathing. Release first side again. Now, we're going to breathe into the belly and the ribs. Open as wide as you can, nose and lungs. Exhale, center, reach across, and inhale again. Nice and stretched breath. And then exhale, we'll come to center, bend our knees, and we will come up. And we're ready for our sun salutes. Now, in the sun salutes, we're going to be doing many things, and if you would prefer to modify, adapt, or avoid something, absolutely do that. So you stay comfortable and you challenge yourself in the way that's appropriate, and there will be plenty of chance for challenges. So let's start at the front area of the mat, so we have room to step backwards, standing with that beautiful arch we learned to create. And we're going to lift the chest up, hips back, let the shoulders pull back and down, and the chin is level. And now we breathe into our belly and we lift our arms up. Exhaling now, grab elbows, bend knees, chest comes down. Now you could have the elbows resting on your knees to pull forward and lengthen, or tipping even more, let the head and the arms hang, but adjusting the bend of the knees to comfort. As the head and the arms hang, it decompresses the spine more. And if you like, you can sway the head and shoulders side to side to create additional stretch. Deep breath. Exhaling, place hands, and right foot steps back in lunge. The left knee is over the ankle. And we're going to lift up the right hip, bring balance to the ball of the foot, reach the right heel back, and pull the chest and the shoulders forward to lengthen the spine. The left foot's going to hold the proper arch. We'll use light pressure on the hands, or for greater intensity, we can have one or both arms go forward. Take a deep breath. Exhaling, hands flatten, we step back in the plank. Now we're tightening the abdomen, pulling in as we lengthen, with the chest going forward and the hips and heels pulling backward. Take a deep breath. And exhaling, softly lower down the knees. Adjust your hips back and toward your heels. Walk the arms forward until the elbows and even the forehead can come down if you like. And breathe deeply into the belly. Now in this position, we can sway the head and the shoulders from side to side, and that will create more of a release in the shoulders and in the rib cage. We'll come partway forward, shoulders over elbows, and we'll sway our hips from side to side. And if you wanted, you could put the knees right in the center and pivot the feet from side to side, which would be a slightly different rotational action. We'll center and we'll let the top of the foot rest, even weight on the palms. We come forward to upward dog, bringing those shoulders forward of the wrist. Lift up the collarbones as you sink the hips comfortably. Hand and foot pressure even, collarbones lifting, inhale. And now exhale, let's go back to downward dog. So we lift hips and we push the chest steadily toward those thighs, flattening those palms evenly with the thumbs gently pulling toward the feet, head between the arms. Bring a balance onto the ball of your foot and lift up your heels. Bend your knees, lift up your hips, and keep pushing your chest toward your thighs. Broaden those shoulders a little, and now paddle one heel down at a time to help stretch into the back of the leg more. Deep breathing. On this exhale, we'll step right foot forward to lunge. Bring the ankle under the knee. Lift up the left hip, balance the ball of the foot, heel reaches back, chest and shoulders pull forward. Right foot holds the arch. Use light pressure to the hands, or one or both arms can reach forward. Take a deep breath. We exhale, step forward, feet hip distance. Now press into the heels, bend your knees, and pull the belly tight. We're going to inhale up from a squat. And exhale. Inhale up. Exhale and grab the elbows, bend the knees, chest coming down. And this time, elbows forward of the legs, fold the hands. Bend the knees, head resting, our skier stance. Press into those legs. Try and move your ribs toward your knees so your spine gets lengthened. Pull your shoulders toward your hips to release tension from your neck. Press your feet and your knees outward, engaging outer hips. Breathe deeply into the upper back, trying to do it all at once. And on exhale, placing hands. It's left foot stepping back now. This lunge becomes a side angle. We're going to bring the left heel down, the left shoulder up. We're going to bring the right elbow up onto the knee. We adjust our hips to remain centering in the mat, and the right knee moves to the right edge so the outer hip activates. We're going to lengthen that right side. Shoulder goes away from the hip, and we want to feel the arches set at left foot, little toe to heel edge pressing. We can, if we want, bring the left arm behind the back to bring that shoulder up higher. And if we want intensity, it's just reaching that right arm forward. Take a deep breath. Exhaling, bring the hands flat, stepping back into plank. Pulling the belly firm, lengthening chest forward and hips and heels back. Inhale. And then exhaling, softly lowering down the knees. Hips go back toward heels, elbows and forehead down. We're going to walk our right hand more forward and place the palm flat. We're going to sway our ribs out a little bit beyond that edge of that right thigh and gently pull back to stretch. So we're feeling stretch already, and I want you to breathe to the right. Inflate the lungs by expanding the ribs. Now, that's important because the muscles between the ribs are being activated. We're making them stronger. We're stretching out the tissue on the outer side of the body that could be restricting our breath, and we're inflating the lung one side at a time to get a more full, complete inflation. This is going to improve our ability to breathe deeply. Now, exhaling, chest goes to center, hand even. And the left hand walks its way forward, palm flattens out. We sway the ribs to the left and we gently pull. So the stretch we start with is gentle. And when we breathe into the ribs, we're going to feel the stretch increase. It still should be pleasant. And what we may or may not notice is the inflation of the lung. It may seem restricted. And that's because we typically breathe very shallowly. And that's one of the reasons for us to focus on increasing, enhancing the deep breath. Exhaling, chest to center, and then hands even. Now come slowly forward to upward dog. Let those shoulders travel forward to the wrists. Lift the collarbones as you sink down the hips. Press the hands in the top of the foot evenly. Collarbones lift, inhale. And then exhale back and into downward dog. Lift hips and push your chest toward your thighs. With those palms evenly flat, thumbs pulling toward the feet and the head between the arms. Bring the balance to the ball of the foot. Lift up your heels and bend your knees. Lift the hips and push the chest steadily toward the thighs. But now let's engage. We're going to pull those shoulders toward our hips. This is the action of our lat muscles. We'll press our hands and elbows toward each other to bring action into our pectorals. We'll make it wide between our shoulder blades. That's serratus anterior. And we can also paddle the heels one at a time up and down to increase that stretch. Breathe deeply, hips lifting. And on our exhale now, it's left foot stepping forward. So bring yourself to lunge, ankle under the knee. And then your side angle. The right heel goes down, the right shoulder lifts up, the left elbow comes up on the knee. Now the hips stay centered to the mat, and the left knee's moving toward the left edge, engaging the outer hip. We're lengthening left side, shoulder away from the hip. And we want to feel the right foot, little toe to heel edge pressing. We can bring the right arm behind the back to lift the shoulder higher. And if we want the intensity, that left arm can go forward. Take a deep breath. Exhale, we'll step forward, our feet hip distance. Pressing down the heels, bend the knees and belly tight. Inhale up from the squat. And exhale. Now focus on a deep breath. Hands go to prayer position, deep inhale. Exhale, push the palms down. Inhale, chest up and arch back. Exhale, forward bend. Right foot steps back, knee comes down. We inhale, chest up, we arch back. Exhale into plank. Inhale, knees rest and hips back. Exhaling, chest and chin resting forward. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Right foot forward, left knee down. Inhale, chest up, arch back. Exhale, step forward. Inhaling up and arching back. Exhale. Hands prayer position, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, chest up, arch back. Exhale, forward bend. Left foot back, knee down. Inhale, chest up, arch back. Exhale, plank. Inhale, knees rest, hips back. Exhale, chest and chin rest forward. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Left foot forward, right knee down. Inhale, up, arch back. Exhale, step forward. Inhaling up, arching back. Exhale. Inhale up. Exhale forward. Now right foot back is lunge, but stay balanced on the ball of the foot. Lift your chest up, perpendicular to the floor, bending that right knee. Tighten that right seat muscle. Pull in the core. Lengthen, chest lifting, and even arms stretching up. Seat muscles tight, breathing. You can stay like this, or you can let that right knee come down and back up again. You can do it once, or a second time, or even a third time. And then we're going to transition into our plank position. Tightening the abs, chest reaching forward, hips and heels reaching back. To protect the shoulders, we bring the knees down first. Pull the elbows in toward the middle as you lower to chaturanga. And then upward dog. Back to chaturanga. And downward dog. And this right foot steps forward. Now we're making a lunge, which will be the platform for other poses. So a good solid lunge. But now we turn into a side angle. We're going to bring the left heel down and reach the left arm forward. Doing so with the shoulders and hips lying near the middle of the mat, the right knee reaching toward the right. Lengthening chest forward and that left heel stretching back. Now trying the left arm points up, we're going to straighten the right leg. Now you can take your hand up higher or leave it down lower. Continue to lengthen. Chest goes toward the front edge of the mat. Other side of the chest reaching toward the ceiling. And then warrior two. We bend the right knee over the ankle. We pull back to the left arm to bring the chest all the way up. Lift the chest and lower the shoulders and then reach evenly through the arms, strongly through the arms. Tighten the seat muscle. Send the right knee to the right. Breathe deeply. Seat muscles nice and strong. And then lift the arms. Turn the chest forward, but leave that left heel down. So we're going to tighten our seat muscles. Pull on our core. Lift the chest. Right knee staying to the right. And then we're going to come back down into our lunge. And we step forward. Press down heels, inhale up. And exhale. Inhale up. Exhale forward. Now the left foot's going to step back. We're going to balance on the left ball of the foot, bending the knee. We're going to lift the chest all the way up. Tighten the seat muscles. Engage core, pulling in. Lift up the chest. Take those arms. Stretch the ribs up away from the pelvis, breathing deeply. And staying like this is one option, but so is bending, touching. We don't let that front knee travel forward. We keep it safe right over its ankle. We can do that once or twice or even a third time. And then we're going to come down and into our plank. Chest reaching forward, hips and heels back. We bring those knees down. We bring the elbows toward the middle. We lower the chest to chaturanga. And then upward dog. Chaturanga. And then downward dog. Left foot steps forward now. So we make this lunge a platform. And then we're going to roll the right heel down and bring the right shoulder up into side angle pose. Hips and shoulders in the midline of the mat. That right arm reaching forward, that right heel, the outer edge of the right foot pressing. Left knee a bit to the left, breathing deeply. And then triangle, the right arm points up. We straighten the left leg. Now the hand can stay low. It can come anywhere up the leg. We lengthen that left side. We lift the right side toward the ceiling. That right arm stretching up, the neck lined up with the spine. Deep breath. Left knee bends over the ankle. Pull backward to the right arm. Bring the chest all the way up. Chest up, shoulders down. Reach evenly through the arms, strongly through the arms. Pull in your belly. Tighten your seat muscles. Left knee to left. Lifting the chest upward, breathing. And then the arms and the chest go up and we turn forward with the right heel staying down. Seat muscles tight. Long spine. Left knee to left. And then we're going to come forward to lunge. Lifting the right heel, we step forward. Inhaling up. And exhale. And that's great. Now, it's really important to keep a long spine, so let's step our feet out. We're going to elongate, and we're going to bend our legs a little. We're going to put the heel and palm up high as we bend. And on the right side, we're going to see if straightening the arm now is more achievable. We'll take a deep inhale. Exhale, we let the elbow bend. And then the left side, we push. We see, can we get that arm a little straighter? Take a deep inhale. Exhale, the elbow bends, and now both sides. Let's traction our spine. A long spine is so important to our overall health. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows, bend the knees, and we'll come up out of that. Now we're going to remain standing, and we're going to work with our core a little bit. And this is the part where I said, if you do have a chair, it's great. If you have, instead of a chair, a wall, it's great. So I'm not going to use the chair at first, but I'm bringing it over so it's near me, and I can use it secondarily to the action. And what we're going to do is basically start with a side tilt. Now, we did this already in our class as our warm-up, and now we're really warmed up, and let's just explore that. So I've separated my feet out a bit on the mat. I'm pressing the feet and the knees outward to help engage this outer hip line. We're pulling in the core nice and firm. We're going to keep the pelvis centered at first, and we lift the chest up. And we're going to create a position where we're going to just tilt a little bit to one side, keeping the pelvis centered. And we're going to come back up, and we're going to tilt to the other side. And so we're just doing a little bit of this action. We're seeing what we can do, upper body versus lower body. Don't let this create a jamming sensation or an unpleasant sensation. And if I tilt to the side, I don't want my hips to counterbalance me. That would be something I really want to avoid. And we avoid that by pressing our legs outward. So the tilt is happening in the upper body. Okay, so we're just loosening up. And if your back's giving you warning signals, well, don't take it too far. So we press out. Now we're gonna point one hand down. We're gonna tilt. We're gonna take the other arm. We're gonna lift the side of the chest up. And so we press out the legs. We're breathing deeply. We're lifting up to that upper arm, breathing deep. And we're gonna come all the way up and out. You should be feeling like, oh, those hips are getting active. Press out, belly in, chest up, shoulders down. We tilt. We take the other arm and we lift. We lift the rib cage up. We're breathing deep. Pelvis staying centered. And then we come up and out of that. And so it's a direct lateral tilt. And there's some actions similar to that within traditional yoga poses. But what I want us to do is an action that's, it's a little bit like that, but it's not exactly. We might interpret it as a side tilt, but really what it is it's an action within the legs that gives them a unique, specific activity, and it's known as half moon pose. So we've got a chair, and so this chair is right here to my right side, and I'm going to be turning my right foot to point at the chair. And my left foot in this pose is going to be turned to point forward. So my right foot is in one direction, my left foot is in about a 90 degree. It looks like a ballet position, doesn't it? So we're trying to settle ourselves in like this, and already we're feeling perhaps a little bit of challenge. Now, I don't want you to feel anything negative in the knees, so you can have a little less turn, but the foot that's going to be going toward the chair is the direction we're going to be going, and it's really important that that knee line up with that foot. I don't want to tilt and take myself across the line of the knee. I want to point my leg so that my body will float correctly. And here's the thing, although my body's turned in a way that makes my chest want to angle, I'm going to be asking my chest to point forward. So the first thing for us to do is to put our feet into this sort of 90-degree position and work to turn our chest to face, in this case, the direction my left foot's pointing. All right? A lot of different ways we can get into the half moon pose. We're going to start like this. So lengthen, and and begin to tilt a little bit toward your right side, toward the chair or the wall. And then take the left foot and just take it out just a little bit further from you to keep the toes pointed forward where your chest is pointed. And take the right arm and just lean it. Don't touch anything yet. Just see, can you lift the left foot up a little bit? You're going to find that, oh boy, it's going to challenge your balance and it's going to challenge the outside of this right hip. So we're just doing a little bit like that. And that might be the way that you'd want to continue to work if you're feeling anything uncomfortable. It's always okay to bend this right knee a little bit too. So just to let you know, you don't have to lock that knee completely straight. Now we're going to reach outward, and what we're going to do is we're going to tilt enough until we can bring our hand. There's the bottom of the chair, but I've got this chair with a back like this. I can reach also higher up, all right? So I've got my hand on the chair. I feel very secure, and I'm going to feel secure enough to lift my left foot up more and let my body tilt toward the chair just a little bit more. You can see my left hand on my hip. My chest is facing frontward, the toe direction of my left foot, and the chair is helping me discover that although I'm out of balance, I'm not that far out of balance. I want my shoulders lined up with my hips, and that's a very difficult thing, and then we come slowly up and out of that. And already the body's like, oh my goodness, this isn't the way we've been sitting around doing nothing and binge watching TV. No, it's not. So let's now do the other side. We're going to come back to that side, so don't worry. And we're going to make the legs go into that. The left foot's now going to point up the direction of the chair, and the right foot's now going to point, straight forward. And we're going to turn our chest. So the chest and the right foot are pointed in one direction, but that left foot's pointed off to the side, the direction that we're going to go in our half moon pose. All right, so let's just lengthen. And what we're going to do is we're going to transfer weight to that left foot. And we're just going to take our right foot up a little bit. We're just going to let ourselves just sort of bounce it up and down until we're feeling a little more certain of weight coming on to this left leg that's pointed toward the chair, all right? And as soon as you're calm and comfortable enough, well, you could stay with that. You bring your hand onto, right now the higher part of the chair is easy, right hand stays on the hip. And you begin to bend, and you can bend that left knee a little bit if you like. And the chest and the right foot point outward the same direction, and we come into a position, and you're gonna find that your body wants to unbalance itself by having the chest in one position and the hips in another position. We're trying to create this one line in our half moon pose, and then we come up out of that. And so the most common thing that happens in a half moon pose when done without a supporting structure is we lose our balance. And I want us to get a little bit into it because it's a really good thing. It's making the hips turn in two different directions. It's pulling across the structure of the pelvis. It's engaging us through important structure in our core. I'm going to come back to the first side, and I'm going to turn my chair so that if I wanted, I could have my hand in the higher position, or if I'm more comfortable, I could have my hand in the lower position, the bottom of the chair. And I'm standing again, my leg pointed, foot toward the chair on my right side where the chair is, and my chest and my other leg pointed in the same direction forward. I'm going to lengthen and then tighten, and we're going to take that left foot out a little bit because that's going to help us counterbalance as we elongate. And I don't want to collapse, I want to elongate, and then take my hand either to the back of the chair higher, or a wall if you had the wall, or all the way down to the chair. It seems like it's such a far place to go. And then we're going to take our leg up. Now the ultimate goal in this is to get the body so that it is parallel, the leg and the chest parallel. So the leg will come up, and we can bend the arm that's supporting us, and ultimately in the pose, the other arm would come up, and it would act like an angle directly away from the bottom arm. And of course, if you're feeling out of balance, well, you're doing it right. Pull your chest away from your hips, pull your foot, that left foot that's up in the air, pull it away from your head. Stretch your head away from your neck. Take a deep breath. And then we're just gonna slowly upright ourselves from that. It's like, oh, that's a lot going on. Oh, we got another side. So I'm turning the chair so I could use the back, the higher back, or I could use the lower part. And remember, nobody is gonna give you a ribbon for going lower. You're in this for yourself. So make it work with you. Left foot's gonna point toward the chair. Right foot is gonna point. The chest is gonna line up. And this alone is a challenge. This is alone. Just standing like this is a challenge. We're going to elongate. We're going to take our right foot off a little bit, standing firmly on that left leg. Remember, left knee could be bent a little bit. And And we can either go toward the back of the chair or come down into the bend. It's going to go lower. Now, there's almost always a difference one side versus the other. You'll be better on one side and trouble on the other. Shoulders lined up in the same line as the hip. We're going to try and maybe bend enough that the chest and the leg become parallel to the floor. We reach the ankle away from the hip. We pull the chest away from the hip. We reach our head away from our shoulders. We're breathing deeply. The traditional position would have that arm stretching upward, reaching and breathing. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is making me tired, good. That's exactly what we want as we create the action. Very nice, and then we'll slowly come out of that. And so that's a pose that we don't immediately get good at. It's one that we work with. But surprisingly, as much as it's a challenge for our body, it's a very achievable one. And using the chair is really great. And you know, losing your balance is fine, and that's okay. And doing it traditionally is to not have anything to assist. But I love to have assistance because in that, you actually get a little bit more out of it. You work harder because your body wasn't all out of balance, and so you work very strongly. And good news, we're going to come down now. Oh, that's standing. We're going to come down. We're going to be working with our arms. And my advice to you is because we're going to have our knees down for a little bit. If you find a position kneeling to be uncomfortable with the knees, put some extra padding under the knees. We're going to be starting off, and this is something we're going to do to work the shoulders, but it's also going to be a twist for the upper back. You don't have to kneel like I'm kneeling on your toes unless you find that comfortable. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. We're going to be creating some movements, some twisting actions of the upper body that's also going to involve our shoulders. If you have any particular shoulder issue going on, be comfortable. Don't overstretch. Don't force your body in any position. Allow it to gradually open up. And we're going to be going through some little changes. So gradually creeping up, and that's a nice warm up and an action that will work for us. And our first position for the action that we're going to do with our shoulders is what's called, I call it the downward puppy position. And that means that from a tabletop, we walk our hands forward, we bring the elbows down, and we stay with the toes in a somewhat tucked position, although if you flatten your foot, it would be okay too. And in this position, I'm going to turn to face frontward so that you can see what the position of my arms are as I begin. I'll turn sideways here in a moment. So I'm in this position, the forehead could be resting down. What I'm going to do is very simple. I'm just going to take my hand, I'm going to bring it over toward the other hand. And that might not seem like much, but for some it's going to be a lot. And then we're going to come back to where it was, and then the other hand's going to come over toward the other hand. You can just slide it. You don't have to, little walk it like a little thing. Slide it over. Sliding over is rather hard. Sliding is hard. So, oh my goodness, where are those muscles? That's using some muscle structure. It's called adduction, going toward the midline. And so we're going back and forth like that. And that's a bit of a struggle with the arms in that position. But now I'm going to take my hand, and I'm actually going to bring it beyond. I'm going to stick it through over here. And it's a little bit lower than it was. And I'm feeling the stretch in my shoulder. And then I bring it back to where it was. And I take my hand, and I just sort of stick it over there. And then I bring it back to where it was. And so we can do that again. And so we're just experiencing stretch. And it's important that we sort of work our way towards our ultimate position. Good. Now, I'm going to stretch more across. It's not lowering too much, but I could lower some. I'm not trying to twist into the twisted puppy. I'm just bringing my arm across and lowering some. All right, so there it is again, across, a bit of lowering. And if I'm asking you to do something and the increase of action is a problem, well then by all means, I want you to go back to what was not a problem. Now the last version of this in the puppy position has us take the arm. It doesn't just come across, it reaches and our shoulder comes down and we're reaching in the direction of our feet. And so I'm reaching in the direction, shoulder coming down, but head clear of the floor toward the feet. I'll show you that from a side view. It may reveal some things for you. So I'm taking the arm and I'm reaching and bringing the shoulder down. And not everyone's going to feel comfortable with this. My head is clear of the floor. It's not compressed. Either through rib cage or through shoulder. And this is often a preparation that I have us do. We'll come out of that in preparation for a pose known as noose pose, where we're linking the arms around a very bound pose. We're not doing that pose today. We're creating that twist, that both shoulder and rib cage action. And that was from the puppy position, which is a little stuffy. So we're going to recreate this from a tabletop position. So in the tabletop now, as we kneel with hands under the shoulders and knees under the hips, we're just going to start by taking an arm and hips pull back, chest pull forward. We take the hand and we just push it over either in front of the other hand, or if you're more comfortable, behind, but basically lining up with the other hand. And I'll show you from the front view that as well. So the tabletop position, either going forward, and this is not intended to be extreme, and it would not feel extreme for most unless there was something going on in the shoulder. All right, that's nicely done. Now we're going to create the action where we reach just a little bit further. I'm across and lowering my shoulder. I could bring it all the way down, but maybe I wouldn't want to. All right, so I reach across, hips pulling backward, coming down. We're just seeing what our body will do, what it feels like. Loosening up some things, exploring stuff that, I think I've been like this when I've been looking for a dog toy under the bed before, but other than that, not so much. And then this next one, still on the tabletop, but I'm going to reach in the direction of my knee line. I'll show you this way, and then I'll show you from the side, which might give you more of a view. All right, so here it is, that same action. So instead of straight across, it's more in the line of my knee and my foot. I'm coming down, and in lowering my shoulder, it's putting my body in a bit more of a twist. Still keeping my head clear of the floor in this action. We're twisting. We're using all sorts of upper body action. Now those two are fine. The puppy position, the tabletop position, but some are ready for a little bit more. And then oddly enough, the tabletop position might be more stress on the wrists than the next position, which is going to use our downward dog, but a very modified downward dog position. It's going to have a more of a balance challenge for us with this. So in this, we want to do that segment. Let me show you what the downward dog looks like, and then we'll do sort of the same little actions across. So from my tabletop, I take my hands a little bit more forward, and I lift my knees and push my chest back. And you can see I've got a tremendous amount of bend in my knees. I'm not flat down like this because if I bend my knees, I can push more weight onto the legs and take some of the weight off the shoulder position. We're broad in the shoulders. We pull those shoulders toward hips, hands and elbows toward each other, wide between shoulder blades. And then I'm just going to take my hand, I'm going to put it near my other hand, and then back, and then put it near my other hand, and then back. Or I can sweep it underneath and near my other hand, which is more stretch. Okay? Now I'll show you from the view where you can see the hands a little more as I come into that very bendy downward dog, shoulders toward hips, hands and elbows toward each other, wide between shoulder blades. And I'm either reaching almost on top of the other hand, or I'm taking and reaching under the hand, or around the hand, you could say. All right, and just bring the knees down a moment, because in each one of these, we're going to get tired of staying up, and downward dog. And here's the thing, coming down and taking a brief break and using this as sets is really important, because our pose deteriorates the longer we hold it. We get tired and we just crumple and we're not in the right position anymore. So let's reset our downward dog again. We're going to press and lift our knees up and push the chest back, head between the arms, knees in quite a bend, and shoulders toward hips, hands and elbows toward each other, wide between the shoulder blades. Now this time we can still reach for the hand, but I'm going to reach across my body in a nice little action there, and then come back, and I'll reach across my body and come back. Now once I've reached across, I could lower the shoulder just a little bit. I could lower by bending that elbow just a little bit. So I'll show it to you again, reaching across, bringing the elbow down a little more, reaching across, bringing the elbow down a little more, and from that, we'll lower the knees down. So you can see there's progression. And if your body is giving you warnings and saying, don't you dare go further, well, don't you dare go further, right? You just take it to a level that seems reasonable And there's another one of these, and I'll show it to you from the front, and then I'll show it to you from the sides as well. We're going to go back into that modified downward dog. So we come up, we push our chest toward those bending knees, and really bend the knees enough so we can push the chest backward. We bring shoulders toward hips, hands and elbows toward each other, wide between the shoulder blades. And this time I'm going to reach, and I'm going to reach toward my foot. Then I have to get all the way there. And then reach toward my foot. All right. Now I could reach toward my foot and just bend my elbow a little bit. And reach toward my foot and bend the elbow a little bit if I wanted to. And don't overstretch, okay? I'm going to show you from the side view to the downward dog. I lift up, I push back. I bend those knees a lot. I pull shoulders toward hips, hands and elbows toward each other, wide between the shoulder blades. And this I'm reaching toward the foot. You may or may not get all the way there. It's okay. Whatever distance you were able to go. Or toward the foot with a little bit of a bend. And toward the foot with a little bit of a bend. And then we'll come out of that and that. It's like, oh my gosh. I know. All right, good. Good news. We're going on to our back. We've got some actions that we're going to create with some bridging poses, things that we're probably a little more familiar with. We're going to be on our back, and just like everything else, there's going to be a stair step of increase in intensity if you care to take it. But we start with a simple action. And simple doesn't mean less important. Simple just means, hey, this is good. I can create this action, and I can be in total control of it. So we're going to be on our back. We're going to have our feet down, and our knees are bent, and our heels, we're making really close to our seat muscles right now. Our low back has a slight curve. We'll call that the neutral back position, and that represents that the front of my pelvis, pubic bone line, and bony area in the front of the pelvis, it's closer to the navel, those are level. So that's giving me a back that is not completely flat. Although if I were to flatten my back or arch my back more, to whatever extreme, we could do that a few times just to tilt it, get it out of our system. But we want to defend the core by making sure that tilting, that flattening, that arching excessively isn't going to happen. So we're just going to hold ourselves at this level. If you don't feel long through the waistline, you can sort of move your rib cage a little bit further away from the pelvis. We're going to use our arms as stabilizers. There's sort of little pontoons out there. We've got our arms out. We're going to press down our shoulders and have that chin pointed upward. Now, when we push down into our heels, let's not flatten our back. Let's just tighten our seat muscles and then let that relax. And that's going to be a purposeful mind-to-body connection. So push down those heels, tighten seat muscles without lifting your hips. Right now, you're just saying, okay, contract this muscle for seemingly no purpose at all, body. And it will, if we engage it. At first, it'll seem like there's, we're going through cotton wool, getting that full engagement. But remember, yoga is a mind-to-body connection. All right. Press down those heels, tighten seat muscles. Now reach your knees toward your toes. Pull your spine long as you come up into a simple bridge position. So we come upward. Now how high we lift, there's a lot of reasons for not lifting extremely high. So lift up the amount that seems right for you. Press those heels. Try and engage those seat muscles even more with the weight on the shoulders. There should be no stress on the neck. That chin points straight upward. And then we bring those hips straight down, not landing on our back, just landing on those seat muscles. And we can do that again. We're going to press those heels, tighten seat muscles. Knees reaching toward the toes, and we lift up, and we're breathing into our belly, practicing our deep breaths, elongating by reaching toward the knees, or toward the feet, knees toward the feet, I should say, and seat muscles, grip, 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 and then we come down and we land on those seat muscles. Now that's a fairly, as I call it, very, very basic bridging action. You're deciding how high you lift. And I'm going to do it once more than just that action. Press down the heels, knees reach toward toes, we lift up. And then we come back down. But here's how we add on. This right leg of mine, I'm going to move it forward to what I think is about 1 foot distance forward of the other foot. And now my legs are not the same, but I'm still going to press both heels down. I'm still going to reach my knees away. I'm still going to come upward, and my right side feels different than my left side. In fact, it feels like there's a little bit more going on in that seat muscle. And then I'm going to come down. I'm going to switch. I'm going to put the legs back where they're even again. I touch with my fingertips to verify. And then I take my right foot, what I perceive to be a little bit more forward. Press down both heels, seat muscles tight, and come up with the legs in a no longer symmetrical position. And feel some action. and then come down. Okay, so now with this, you know, I'll do again, first side. Obviously the distance could make a difference, right? If I'm doing this and my foot is even further away, I still gotta be able to press my heels and come up, and there's still gonna be some bend in the knee. It's gonna make a difference. So if I wanted this to be more intense, my foot being further out there, pressing the heels and coming up, well, yeah, that's different. So we're creating a dilemma for our body. The legs are not in the same position, and we're asking it to do some pretty powerful stuff using our glutes, those knees reaching toward the toes always. But here's the next way. Here's the final way we do the bridge. I'm just going to let my right leg be all the way down. It's just down on the floor. And I'm going to press my left heel. I'm going to engage my core. I'm going to reach my left knee toward my toes, and I'm going to come upward. Sort of, you can see it's pulling my right leg as I come up and I come back. But be mindful of what it's doing to your back. I'll do it again on this side. I just come up, and it drags my right foot. I drag it too hard, and I was pulling a mat with me, but I'll do it again. It's like, oh, okay. But watch out. Your back might not like that. All right, I'll do this on the other side. So my leg's just out there. Heel pressing, seat muscle tight on the right side, knees reaching toward the toe, and then I come up. And I come back down. So this leg is just, it's heavy. It's just a log right now. It's like, it's making the right leg do everything. And that's a fairly nice action. But as I said, the potential of increasing our activity, if we cannot elongate enough, we'll come down. It can jam into the back. And that is great. Let's now bring our knees into our chest and let the back completely flatten. We're just going to hang out nice around the leg. And the body's really happy that we're no longer doing that. So, there we go. Now, spread your arms outward. And here's the thing. If your back is troublesome, touching those toes out and going side to side, my knees are close together, that's a good modification. Or leaving the feet uplifted and rocking to the side. I'm not going all the way down. I'm keeping my shoulders down, but I'm not taking my legs all the way to the mat right now. I'm just sort of holding, and that's real good work for the side of the waist, those obliques. Side to side we go. But as soon as I feel like I'm warmed up enough, and this is an option, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my legs come all the way down, and that moved my right shoulder away from the floor because I went to my left. So I'm going to use my elbows to scooch my body a little bit more to the right to line up again and get both shoulders down. And my arms are off to the side, my legs are off to the left. And maybe, for some people, the knee is up like that. If the pelvis can't come over, if there's not enough twist in the low back, it's okay for the knees to be up like that. I'm going to take my left arm up and bring it across my body and create what's called the wind-blown position. At least I call it the wind-blown position. I'm reaching my arms toward my right side. My legs are already to the left side. And I'm turning my head. I'm looking toward the right as well. And so it's just an interesting upper body neck stretch, different from the lower body stretch. To come out of it, my left arm comes up, my head returns to center. I bring my knees back into my chest, and then I'm ready to take my legs toward the right. And as I come down, my left shoulder lifts up. And then I'm just going to use my elbows to press and move my chest a little bit toward the right so that my left shoulder can come down again. My legs are off to the side like that. I'm going to take my right arm up. I'm going to turn my head to the left. I'm going to reach my arm across so my legs are in one direction and my arms and my neck are now in the opposite direction. And just breathing deeply, doing only the amount of this. You just wanted to rock side to side. You're perfect. You're just fine. Just fine. Whatever it is you choose to do. But rotations can be very restful for the nervous system. My right arm comes up, my head returns. I bring the legs back into the chest, and I'm going to stretch those legs out now. So we straighten our legs, and we've done a lot. We're going to turn our hips in and turn our hips out and try to make sure we work in every part of our body, including our mind. Every part of us. We rock the hips side to side. That's sort of a little settling down action. We're going to shimmy, reaching one side longer, shimmy, reaching the other side. These final things that I typically do at the end of the class are great for the core. They're very subtle, and they're very important for the shape of our pelvis. We're trying to align structure through subtle but persistent action. We relax that, we tense up those seat muscles, mind and body connection, we let them relax. We can do one side at a time, which would create this very slight tilt of the pelvis, both at the same time, or a little bit of a wave or salsa dance action. If you turn your hips in and try and tighten your seat muscles, you're going to find that the nervous system's not set up like that as well with inward rotation. You relax, the feet will naturally turn outward. Inhale, arch your back, but make your belly lift toward the sky. Practice some deep breath. And then as you exhale, pull in the belly as you exhale. Get all of that air out. Flatten the back as much as you can. And then do another deep, 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 full breath. Inhale. Another exhale back, flatten belly, pulling in. Release that. Walk those shoulders away from the head. Press the back of the shoulders down. Turn the arms inside of the elbows and palms facing upward. Circle the chin one way. Circle the chin the other way. Tuck that chin down. Get the front of the neck contracting. And then lengthen. Stretch the front of the neck. And then have that chin point straight upward. And I want you to exhale completely, because the next breath, I want you to study it. Breathe into your belly. And as that seems to be getting full, try and find space in the sides of your chest to the underarm. And in your lower back at the bottom of the ribs, and your upper back at the shoulder blade, and your collarbones. You just fill up until your clothes are tight, tense all your muscles, and then exhale, go limp. Just let go. But every breath, try and find a little more space to breathe into. Breathing is a muscular action. We may not be strong enough to take a full, deep breath when we first begin breathing deeply. But we calmly and gently work our way into a deeper and deeper breath. Just by being persistent with it, just by working with it, slowly and gently. Every moment that you're just right here, right now, just studying yourself as you breathe, is a moment where your body is feeling little, if any, stress. You're just right here. The way you feel, head and feet, shoulders, hips, arms and legs and chest, the sounds in your ears, the thoughts in your mind, the breath in your body, it's all right now. So be here right now. Just give yourself a break from anticipating the future or remembering the past. Just be right now. And when you feel that you're ready for it, you'll begin to move a little bit. And that movement will beget movement, and you'll begin to stretch a little bit. And you'll finally, through a process of just moving and gently, come to a point that you've done all the stretching you want to do. You can roll to your side. Use that side position to come up. Don't sit straight up. It really doesn't do much for your back or your abs. Just mostly stresses your spinal structure. Sit and just breathe. And that is great.